Hi, today we're gonna learn about how an ordinary people like me or like you would have to pay for certain tax. Well, we're gonna dive in this topic today. First, let's look at personal income tax. This is the very basic tax when an ordinary people, if you don't have any business, you just go to the company and get a paycheck monthly. This is mostly the tax you have to pay. First, the income from business activities. As is the name, if you don't have any business activities, then you don't have to pay for this. But remember, this income from business activities also include the income from your freelance service. So if you provide any freelance service, you will have to pay for this kind of tax. The next is the income from salaries and wages. This is the typical one that most employee have to pay. And you usually don't see the money was withdraw from his salary to get to pay for the government because your employer will withdraw from your monthly payroll before they pay the money to you. But in some situation, you will have to pay the tax by yourself. Next is the capital investments. Yes, you could just simply understand that when you invest something, you will get the income from it and then you will have to pay for tax. For example, when you buy stock from a company and monthly, no, actually yearly, the company will pay you certain money. That's worth of income from capital investment. And when you receive this money, the company who paid you the capital investment will have withdraw a certain amount of money to pay for the tax. Next is the income from capital transfer. At its name, when you when you transfer, I mean, when you sell your capital, which you own, you will have to pay for this kind of tax. Then the income from real estate transfer. That's when you sell the real estate. After that, the income from prize or winnings. This usually when you get the award. It could simply in money or in goods. Well, in goods, and you have to pay for the tax. It usually take about 10% of the source you receive. So if you win lotteries or when you get a reward from some competitions, you do have to pay for tax. Yes. So it's part of the rule. Next is the income from your royalties. You can understand when you own a brand, it could be a commercial brand or the clothes brand, or just simply when you are an artist and you have mm, draw some characters and you own the characters. When somebody want to use those characters, they will have to pay you money to use that characters. So when you get the money from selling the uses, the right to use that characters, you get the income from royalties. Then we have income from commercial franchising. This relate to franchisings. You could look at the McDonald's or uh, Pizza Hut. This big brand usually open thousands of brand in multiple countries. They do not directly manage that, but they will sell the commercial franchise, the right to use us. And that sort of income when we sell the brand name to let the username and open the brand, they will have to pay for tax. And then we have income from inheritance. Well, as its name, when you inherit anything that you have to registration, such as cars, stocks, companies, you do have to pay for tax from inheritance. And well, in Vietnam, this is not so a big deal because we have some rules which reduce the tax when family members get the inheritance from their parents. And finally, income from gift. Well, when you get the gift, that you have to registrate, you do have to pay for tax. For example, when you get a car or a motorbike, you have to register to use them. Then you have to pay for the income from the gifts. Next, very common tax is consumption tax. I bet that everyone have to pay for this tax, but they often don't aware of this because we just look at the bills and pay for the total amount, total price. So to dive in details, the very first thing may be show on the bills is the VAT. That's what short for value added tax. Well, this is a tax would count on the adding value from the goods and service that were provided by the providers. Next is imported tax. For example, in Vietnam, when they buy goods from America, they will have to pay for certain tax that's called imported tax. This would use as a tool to manage the exchange from the domestic and international companies. So if the government want to embrace the domestic industry or domestic infrastructure, they will raise the imported tax. But when they want to promote the international trade, they will reduce this imported tax. Next, we have excise tax. This would apply to luxury goods such as cars, mm, luxury clothes, cigarette, cigarette, wine, some that's what expensive and luxury, and not many people would able to access, and sometimes it's not good for your health, such as cigarette and wine. And then we have environmental taxes. This would tax to take amount of money so they could protect the environment, as you could say. And then finally, property related tax. Well, if you own the lands in Vietnam, you have to pay for land tax. It's quite a small number annually, but they do have to pay for tax. But I heard that in other countries, such as in the USA, the land tax is super high that they barely own the properties if they're not crazy rich. And then finally, they have a lot of finally, vehicle registrations or vehicle tax. And I say when you got a new car or a new motorbike or anything that need to registration to use, you will have to pay for this tax to be allowed to use this legally. So that's all the common tax that an ordinary people like you or like me have to pay for tax if you live and work in this life.